My name is Basil Varian, and I've been asked back onto Jacob Lenhoff's program of Touring America, and he asked me to talk about, in more depth, about my relationship with another author, Gary Kaplan, and how we got into writing and how I'm getting into writing now, and my relationship with him, because the last video I had some issues with him. Gary and I grew up together. We were childhood friends from elementary school. We met in like 6th grade. And even from that time, we role-played, if you will, outside while other people were playing, dodgeball and all that. We'd be out using our imaginations. So it didn't surprise either of us that we would maybe try to get into some writing and coming up with ideas that we thought were really neat. And so we took some of our stories and we started planning them out like a story. And out of that came at least 2 projects that I was closely associated with, at least at the beginning. And that was the Chronicles of Illumaril and the Phoenix Saga. He did both fantasy and science fiction. He's got another one that he kind of borrowed from me called The Clues of Chaos. But I don't really take full credit for the creation of that. That's a lot of his. So anyway, we spent a lot of our time in the late 80s, early 90s planning it out. I wrote, like I said, the last tape, the first 5-6 chapters of the Advent of Darkness. I've read a lot of the reviews, and someone posted that it was so cliche, the first couple of, the stranger in a strange land scenario, but it was kind of common at the time. And it was a good way to introduce the character to a fantasy world. I thought it was pretty good, but one guy complained, and I don't know, you'd have to read the book yourself. I don't think it's all that great, but it's not a bad read. There are better, but it's not a bad read. You're not wasting your money with it. Now, as far as the space one, the Saga of the Phoenix, we both grew up with shows like Space 1999 and Battlestar Galactica and Star Trek, and so we thought, we could do our own kind of science fiction, storyline, kind of like with a ship that's like the Enterprise, but it modified. It's not exactly the same thing. And we came up with a crew. I named the Commodore Shepard, and he came up with a guy named Garfield, who was an alien who was really advanced, almost like a Q. And they go around, do things, and he would throw in elements, because he liked Star Wars too, so he came up with the idea of Star Knights show. Eventually, he worked that story up. I can only say that for the Saga of the Phoenix book, the first one, I myself was only acting as a kind of a beta reader for it, because a lot of the characters were my creation, but they were important to the story, so I was more concerned with the story elements. I was familiar with the story, because we had done these stories years ago when we were kids. he just kind of fleshed it out. And if you know anything about writing, and if you're trying to take something from a role-playing session or whatever, it takes a lot of conversion to make it story-worthy. And that's what I was looking at from a story writer's point of view. It's the same with my book that's coming out, Strange Days. That was originally a role-playing session, but it's taken a lot of work to put it into a feasible, coherent story. Taking stuff out, adding stuff in, explaining a couple of things that in a game you wouldn't really bother explaining too much. But in a book, you have to. Most of my stories that are coming out, or that will be coming out, were based on scenarios me and my wife did, and my daughter. So we're fixing them up so it'll be really good. I'm very impressed. At this moment, she's got about 8 chapters left to review before it meets her standards, and I'm all for it because I've been reading the stuff she's been adding, and it's good. I can't wait for Strange Days to come out. I'm hoping it's up to, she's projecting it now. At least right now it's at 73,000 words, which is about, by the time she's finished, it'll be about 450 pages or somewhere around there, because she's got 8 chapters left to do. And I've left it pretty much in her hands. I've done what I was going to do. I painted the broad picture. She's just filling in a lot of the little gaps and plot holes and adding stuff along the way. So, damn, I'll tell you, 15 years working on this story, on and off. 15 years to finally get it right. But since I've got it right, the rest of the stories, at least the next 5 books or 4 books, are pretty easy to write. And when I've got her as co-author, she fills in that she gives it that touch. Because the main character in my story is basically her. So her personality, hang-ups and all that stuff. If you were ever wondering, is Georgia Bell based on anybody? Yeah, it's based on my wife. So, I'm hoping that anyone out there who sees this, when the book is released, hopefully on Amazon to start, maybe Goodreads and Books By, I'm hoping. And hopefully maybe be able to see it in stores. We're going to go with Ingram Spark to get it through, hopefully sail through Barnes & Nobles. So, we'll see. I hope people will read it, and I hope they like the characters as much as we do. So, I'm looking forward to writing more books in this series, the After Dark Chronicles. As it stands now, up here, I've got at least the next 4 books pretty much planned out. It's just a question of filling in the gaps and fleshing it out more. The next couple of books, I'm looking at it as Season 1, which is set in 2005, and then Season 2, which will hopefully wrap things up, and that'll be taking place around in game or in book form, 2006. I may go a little further, but there should be between 11 and 13 books, maybe, all told in my series. And it has an ending. There is no going on and on and on and on and on, ad infinitum, ad nauseum. No, it does have a set ending. However, it's a big sandbox universe. Just because my characters' stories will be told doesn't mean that if someone wants to, it likes the series and likes the mythology and likes the world, that you can't write in the universe. Okay? I'm not Tolkien. It doesn't begin and end with me. So, I'm hoping that you'll like the book, like the series, fall in love with the characters in the world, and maybe even bring your own characters and creations and add to it within the structure. Well, anyway, I guess that's pretty much all I've got for you right this time. Hopefully, if Jacob asks me back, we'll come up with some other stuff that we can talk about. And I hope you'll see me soon.